adjourn. All right, well, thank you all for coming. This meeting, of course, can be attended in person, and it is also streamed on the library's YouTube channel, and the recording is made available after the meeting at the city's website. Community members are also invited to address the board during this time. Is there any community member here for that purpose? Okay. Call to order. Angela.
Present.
Teresa.
Present.
Steve.
Here.
Laurel.
Here.
Adam.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Nick is here too. All right, the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's been passed. All right, updates and reports. First from the foundation. Is there a representative from the foundation?
Brenda is not able to be here tonight. She is attending, is it Ready to Lead sessions this month and next month. So she apologizes for not being able to be here, but she asked, since I'm a crossover between Friends and Foundation, she asked that I cover her input. So as Joanne Rosner, the president of the foundation, mentioned at the last meeting, they have a challenge between the foundation board members, and Joanne also would like to throw it out to the library board of trustees members for a fundraising campaign specifically on Facebook to take place during the library week, April 17th through the 13th. And as shown in your packet, the handout that she submitted, there is some graphics that could be created. And Brenda asked if I could collect names, as it were, of people who would be, board members who would be interested in participating in that, so that Brenda can work with you to get your own graphic created, whether it's a picture you submit, a picture she takes of you, or she said she could scrape it off your Facebook page, which is what she did with Aaron Pagel on the far left. So in doing my duty, is there anybody who is would be willing to participate in this and have your name passed to Brenda, and she would get in touch with you? Deanna?
I think anybody would make money, but.
And she said it's not just necessarily to generate the funds, but the more people who participate in this, the more visibility gets generated as a positive for the library. So Deanna and Craig
Teresa
and Adam.
Great, Teresa. Thank you.
And I
Oh,
just got an
thank you.
email from Brenda with me featured on a graphic. So I don't,
So I guess that means you're
That's
already
not closing the sale before.
so I think,
She already has your
she
name?
already created one for me, yeah.
Okay,
I think I'm already in, yeah.
with on the foundation as well, too. Okay, so I have Teresa, Craig, Adam, Stephanie, Angela.
And I'll talk to you after the board meeting.
Okay. Okay. And then secondly, there has been a library legislation day up in the cities, and in the packet, she gave a link to a variety of bills that are being proposed. And various foundation members have participated in like the chamber annual events. They do Facebook posts. Brenda participated in a Zoom event that happened between Selco, Senator Nelson, and Representative Bolton. So it's an informational that Foundation is out advocating for Rochester Public Library within the community, and is keeping in touch with some of these legislative efforts, pretty much as far as a just a an awareness issue. Brenda did have some input to that communication session with Selco from the Rochester Public Library's point of view. So I unfortunately have not been keeping up on the legislative efforts, so if you have any questions on those, I'd be willing to pass those on to Brenda. Any questions on the foundation? Okay.
Thank you. Friends.
So the Friends, it was gonna be a quiet month. The bookstore is happy to report that they had gross revenues, just over 7,000 each month in both January and February, and that is above their monthly average. They had a 4-day half-price sale in January, and a snow day or two, I think, when the library was closed, or schools in town were closed, and so they closed the bookstore when schools are closed. And then also our auditorium sale in February always brings in additional customers to the bookstore. The second thing that is being a large project for us, like throughout the whole library, the spring cleaning project, as the library, you'll hear more with space reconfiguration. We're being asked to move our room that is currently adjacent to the auditorium, where we store all of our bookstore stock room inventory. And we do a large amount of our processing of the donated books. We're gonna completely vacate that room and move upstairs to where Friends already has a presence with our online review processing. So we're gonna get double the space that we had before, and now we all get to learn to work together because we'll all be in the same room. There'll be some pros and cons to the move, but we've applied for a grant. We have to buy all new shelving units. The ones down here are 5 inches too tall because the ceiling upstairs is lower than the ceiling on this floor. And so in order to be able to stay below the sprinklers in the proper space allotment, those shelves are too tall, plus the people who are moving into that room kind of want those shelves. So we're gonna be buying some brand new shelves. I priced them out, some really nice ones that I really like, for about $3,300. And I just 2 hours ago submitted a grant application to People's Energy Co-op to see if I can get some money from them to help cover that cost. So if you're with People's Energy, put in a good word for us. I'm hoping to get those shelving units ordered here the end of this week or early next week. One of our board members, her husband works for a construction company in town, and he might be able to get some of his coworkers to install these, set these units up for us, and then we'll set up a sign-up genius to get some volunteers to help us move our inventory upstairs. So it appeals to my organizational happy place, but it is being a very big project, so.
It is a lot, and we're very thankful for the Friends and for all the work that Val's put into this and other friends, because we know that it is a big ask, but it does make our spaces a little more accessible for programming, having the programming supplies right next to the auditorium, and gives us that space to move some of the things down from the 3rd floor so that we have them not in the mechanical room, which is not meant to be storage. So thank you, Friends.
Any other questions for Friends?
All right, thank you. Selco, somebody's been.
No, there's no report. There's a meeting next week, so I should have a report next week.
Okay. All right, planning committee update, I guess that's me. So we met again on March 11th. We looked at the RFP draft, which has now been generated to a nice kind of professional, colorful kind of format. The content was the same pretty much. We discussed various little minor points and made some updates. Then we moved on to talking about the outline for the study session with the city council. There were several items that were brought up. One was to explain the decline in card holders and visits, and a lot of it can be attributed to the pandemic. Because
A very large chunk, yeah.
yeah, so we need to make that point. Well, I think that's understandable. So we have, we're moving forward now. The next thing that will happen will be the city council study session in which the RFP will be presented to them as well.
Yes, and that will be Monday, this coming Monday. The meeting starts at 3:30. We are the last thing on the agenda, so.
We're talking what time about?
You know,
Four.
I would guesstimate not before 4:30, because there are two other items before us, so.
Okay.
But you never know. It could be a lot later and it could be a little bit earlier, so.
And then the library staff completes the RFP and then prepares a draft, a final draft for our board meeting on April 17, which hopefully at that meeting, the RFP will be approved. That's April 17th. And then the day after that, the RFP is issued. And 11 days later, the library will host information sessions and presentations for firms that are interested, and the proposals will be due on May 17th. And then we will have a subcommittee that will do the interviews of the submissions, and we'll come up with a selection. Let's see, when was that?
Hoping by mid-July, so we've been able to keep the timeline, even with our kind of condensing some of the activities, that we should be able to bring, hopefully, a
Right.
contract for the July library board meeting.
Yeah, well, the schedule I've got is June 26th, library board meeting approved selected firm, so it's not
Oh,
gonna be.
June.
So, and then if that works out, then June 27th will be the notification of the awarded consulting firm, and all the legal stuff will be dealt with, and then the award of the actual contract through the board will be July 17th. Yeah. Okay. Any questions at this point? Okay. Item 6, 6A through 6D. We can vote on these in a block. Can I have a motion to approve these 4 items?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, on to number 7A, the 2023 Minnesota Public Library Annual Report.
So this is the annual report that we submit to the state each and every year. We like to pull out highlights, which we'll bring in the next couple of months to you. But if there's anything specific that you want more details on, we can go ahead and include that in our update in April or May. But this is the report that is due before April 1st, so that's why we're bringing it to you now. Were there questions about anything in the report?
I did have, we went through several of them, but one question was, what's the difference between a city direct revenue and a city indirect? This-
And if Perna were here, she would answer that
Oh,
question, and
okay.
she can absolutely answer that question for us.
it
I
was-
know because Perna did this, it's very correct.
All right. And other operating revenues?
So we do receive money from the county, so that's.
Okay, that's what it means.
Part of our operating revenues, and it also supports part of our CIP. We also receive some funding from Selco, and then some other sources that Perna could list, so.
All right, and this saturation rate, that's part of the report, right?
This is actually part of our presentation.
Oh,
So-
okay, so I printed it. So, okay, all right. Are there any other questions? We need to approve this.
Yes, so if somebody wants to make a motion to approve it.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the 2023 Minnesota Public Library Annual Report?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? It's been approved. Okay,
Karen, did you get that signed?
I will sign it.
You will sign,
I have
nobody will
forgotten.
let Nick leave,
I won't.
and we will have it signed, thank you. Okay.
Let's see. Okay, library study update, equity plan update.
So the library study update, I just want to make sure that if there were any questions, this is the draft RFP, and then the updated presentation that we went through last month. If there were any questions on that, just a reminder, the final RFP will be brought for approval at next meeting. What we're hoping is with our presentation at the city council study session is to get some feedback from city council about anything that they see that may be missing that they would want information on, so. Any questions? I think you said you had questions about the market saturation rate that was included in
Oh.
there.
Yes, so that's in that report. So are these specific neighborhoods?
These are census tracts, so those numbers correlate to a census tract within our county.
So the tract is a neighborhood.
It could be a couple of neighborhoods.
Okay, but each of those numbers there, that is a part of Rochester. I mean, it's a certain.
Correct, yes. So when you're looking at the one on that low end that has a 28.5, that's 28.5% of the households have a library card.
Okay.
And that's where that dark green chunk is, that's the boundaries for that census tract.
All right, and we have the locations for each of these numbers. So if I wanted to
Yes.
know what
Yep.
2701, 900, 1601,
Yes.
we would be able to say where.
Yep, so on those maps, you can see where the darkened chunk is. And those are the boundaries for that particular census tract.
Okay. Well, we have the geographical, what am I trying to say? The geographical boundaries for each of those numbers there.
I have a question.
Yes, on the map.
Does that make sense? That's all
Yes.
I'm asking.
So actually, are you talking, when you're saying that that green represents 28.5%?
Yes, that is,
Of the people within that?
Within that,
No, it
within
doesn't.
that particular tract.
I don't think so, because when you add those three across, that equals 100%.
no, so in that census tract, so I know that's probably not.
So
gonna
that
show
could
up
be
well.
number 27109001602.
So this dark green is this census tract.
Oh, okay.
Those are the boundaries. This one is this census tract, and then that top one is this. So what this is saying is 28.5% of the households in that census tract. So for that specific census tract, 81.5% do not have. No, 71.5%.
And we can do that with any of these numbers that are up to, any of these tracts.
Yes, thanks to Orange Boy, we can.
Right,
This is
and
not
it
something
will
we
give
don't
us the
have.
neighborhood. Okay, this is 27th Street Northeast to 35th, blah, 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 right? It would-
It gives us those boundaries as identified by the census tract, which again could be a couple of neighborhoods.
But it will be street address, I mean, streets.
Yeah, it's a geo,
It's basically based on old township lines,
Okay,
right? That's the simplest way of explaining it.
so that's very helpful.
yeah.
I think
It
it's
really
helpful.
is helpful, and this is not something we've always had access to. And it is interesting to compare those different areas. Previously, before we had Orange Boy, one way that we would try to look at at cardholder rates across the community was by zip code, which is not fine enough to really, and we could see disparities in southeast and northwest. We had lower cardholder rates than in the other two quadrants of the city, but we couldn't get as granular.
And this is what I was kind of going on and on about in the summer when Adam was still chair. This tells us a lot. And, I mean, this could also affect, I don't know, the route of the bookmobile to try to get more exposure, or maybe sending mailings one time about the library in the lower use.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot you could do.
You'll remember in a few months ago with the book box, we lucked out. I would love to say that we planned all of the things, but we really lucked out in the location that we chose. The firehouse that was available that worked well for the book box was in an area where we had lower cardholder saturation rates. And so we were able to see before sending out postcards to people in those 3 census tracts, and then after the book box was launched and open and ready to go, and then running that report after, we saw a change in cardholder saturation for those census tracts.
Is there really a census tract that has 0.37%?
Yes, but I want to say that's either Stewartville or Pine Island. It's because there is a different library that exists in that space, and not because that census tract doesn't like libraries. They're probably all at the Stewartville Library or the Pine Island I can't remember.
So is green the lowest, the 28.5, is that the lowest saturation of like Rochester proper?
Yes, I want to say the others were all outliers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might want to grade them out or something like that, just so people understand that they're not city, right? Because that's like,
Yeah.
how did you get that?
They're holding protests against the
0.37%
library.
seems,
I will keep that in
You
my
know?
back pocket. It has been submitted for the city council packet, so we can't gray it out, but yeah, I will make note of that.
and
I
then it's
do think,
33.7, is that the median?
Which one?
The orange, is that the median?
yes, so
number?
overall, when you look at the entire service area, it is 33, I think the
Was it
slide
33 point
before,
something? Yeah.
33.86.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
that's
that
the
was the
median.
closest, yes.
Okay. And then up above, that's then the highest, obviously, right? And those are household income, correct? Not individual?
And household income, so those are the two layers that were.
It's interesting that the lower income is the least and the higher the most.
Is the poverty definition the federal poverty rate or level?
It is the,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
in policy now, so I use
Yeah.
policy, a mixture of tools, so yes,
There's a lot that can be done with this.
yeah.
And it can be compared annually, right?
We can get point in time, so I can't go back and say, what was this 5 years ago?
No,
We didn't
no,
even
but-
have Orange Boy.
When we get to this point next year, we could do the same thing and
We
compare.
could, yeah.
And if,
I mean, we have it we have to take a snapshot of a point in time.
Yeah.
We can't look back.
Yeah. And if the library
makes
had
sense.
done some
It's
kind of
like
project.
real life
You
data, it's real life data.
You need
Yes.
to choose to keep an archival copy.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah,
thus, it would make sense to,
keep an archival copy.
at the end of whatever you choose, calendar year, whatever, automatically make an archival snapshot so that you have that.
So right now, we can't compare it with a previous year at this point. I mean, we're just starting.
Yeah,
And so if the library undertook some kind of initiative to direct attention to the lower saturation rates and then compared it a year later, it would tell you whether or not there was some success in that effort, whatever it was.
and I would be really surprised if this wasn't one of the recommendations that came out of this study, because I think that is a low-hanging fruit opportunity.
Mhm, yeah. Okay, good. Impressed.
other questions about the presentation coming up or the draft RFP?
All right, thank you. Let's see, the Justice, Equity, Diversity Jedi audit.
So we also had just the equity plan update, just wanted to give a brief update. That was really a look back at what we've done over the past year and what we've changed in our plan, but we will be revising it because of the Jedi audit. So any questions on that look back of some of the things that we've been focusing on?
So these are recommendations from the Good Enough Consulting.
Correct, and Good Enough has been working, they worked first with city HR. So this is a city-funded initiative through our DEI office with the city. And after going through HR and reviewing HR policies, they selected library and parks to do these Jedi audits. So we were able to work with Good Enough Consulting and shared what our practices are in hiring, what our process looks like, shared some of our job descriptions, timeline, marketing that we do for jobs. And then they also did a site visit, a secret shopper type visit. Their time was limited. I mean, it was a small number of consulting hours that they were able to dedicate. So it was fairly limited. And we did split it up into two projects because we felt both were important to get a little information and an objective view of both things. But they did come back with some really great recommendations, so.
I thought some of the recommendations were kind of generic in nature, and I mean, that's to be expected, but.
And our plan is to have actually Good Enough come next month and be here at the library board meeting to actually ask any of your really detailed questions.
From this
If
report,
that is helpful, yeah.
because I didn't have some.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions?
So we'll be hosting, they will also be conducting a staff survey to get input from teammates to also inform us as we kind of finalize how we prioritize some of these recommendations. And our hope is to then bring back that at a future library board meeting for an informational item as well. So.
Thank you. Board calendar of events.
Yes, I just wanted to go through, we have lots of things coming up, including let's see, we've got the study council on Monday, and then we have our executive committee coming up the first Friday in April, and then finance committee, another planning committee meeting, and then our library board meeting in April. Just wanted to note on here as a reminder, because I've been going through and making appointments for things all the way through summer, we will not have a library board meeting on June 19th because of Juneteenth. It will be June 26th. And your birthday. Happy hour with Teresa.
All right. Is that it?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
In preparation for the finance meeting, is there any papers or anything you
There's
guys
really
review?
nothing, I mean, it is very limited for finance committee because we are in the second year of a 2-year budget cycle, so we are fairly limited in what we can do and what, I mean, I think our priority still is, the decision pack request for library safety security specialist is still top of mind and top of our list. So it will be very, I imagine, a very short meeting, but one that I think is important for us to have, so.
All right. Are there any overall questions for anything that we've talked about? Or haven't talked about?
I have a kind of weird question. So as I was flying to my vacation, I noticed at the airport, there's a little library box in there. What is that? And do we have more of those around the community?
So it is a mini library. It's one of the mini libraries. It's a very special mini library, and Kim can chime in whatever, because Kim worked a lot on this project.
Well, we had a Books on the Fly LSTA grant. We combined it with a digital kiosk as well as that mini library. Mini library was the one that stayed. It was super popular. And it was modeled after the community mini library project that Heather Acero worked on, again with multiple grants. So we have volunteers that help keep that stocked.
And it is interesting, I don't know if you noticed, there's a box that is attached with it. We used to have comment cards there when we were first implementing this initiative. We wanted feedback. And we no longer have comment cards there because it's staying. There was no need to collect any additional data. We have opened it up since then and have found money. People have just dropped money in there. I can't remember what the dollar amount was the last time we went out there, but it was very surprising. It was a
Pretty consistently, every time they refill, there's something in there. You know, people
Yeah.
are appreciative of the service and awesome.
It was a nice thing to see.
It's a fun little surprise when you get to the airport, yeah.
Anything else? Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'm gonna just take a nap in the lobby, but.
Thank you for making
Are you
the
actually
effort,
supposed
though.
to adjourn or just go,
Going
adjourn
to-
into executive session?
Oh,
Not
adjourn
adjourn,
into executive.
go
Into
into
executive
executive session and then adjourn after you
Right.
come back out.
But we do have to adjourn from the regular meeting.
You would, right.
You just say, yeah.
You're
We're going
going
into
into
executive.
We're adjourning into
session.
the executive session.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
That is our due leave. Thank you for signing.